All right, how are we doing? All right, everybody. All right. So today we're going to talk about AI. In front of you, I wrote up what I wrote this morning for the introduction to Cody. This is how powerful AI is. Write a presenter introduction about Cody Banks of Culpeper. He will be giving a presentation about using AI in small business. What AI is used for, and some points on how to use them. Don't pay attention to the grammar, I am not sure which specific AI he's going to be talking about. This presentation is sponsored by the Culpeper Chamber of Commerce Small Business Advisory Committee. I, John Croft of Croft Communications, and the committee president will be doing the introduction of Cody Banks. Make the introduction fun and professional, and the intro can only be about 2 minutes long. Now here's the introduction. It took that and wrote out this further. Good morning, everyone. As the president of the Culpeper Chamber of Commerce Small Business Advisory Committee, it's my pleasure to welcome you today to today's session using artificial intelligence in your small business, sponsored by our committee. Our speaker today is Cody Banks, the creative force behind Banks Graphics and Design right here in Culpeper. Since founding the agency in 2012, Cody and his team have been dedicated to supporting small business and nonprofits with top-notch design solutions. Beyond his professional endeavors, Cody is deeply committed in our local community. He serves on the board of directors of the Culpeper Chamber of Commerce and contributes his experience to foster local business growth. Cody has recently explored the intersection of artificial intelligence and small business operations. His latest business journal entry, Small Business Guide to Starting with AI, delves into how AI can become a trusted, vital assistant, aiding in tasks ranging from customer service to marketing. Today, Cody will share practical AI tools that can streamline your operations, enhance your customer engagement, and boost your productivity. Whether you're new to AI or looking to optimize your current tech stack, his insights will be invaluable. Please welcome Cody Banks.
Sarah, is it on? All right, okay, cool. All right, we're really professional around here. Hey, guys. I'm Cody Banks. I own Banks Graphic Design here in Culpeper. So I have been using AI probably since ChatGPT dropped in 2022, and I'm going to get a little bit more into that here in a bit, but I'm really excited. Anytime I get the opportunity to help small businesses, nonprofits, honestly, anytime I get the chance to help anybody, I just jump at that chance. So today we're going to be talking about how to use it for your small business. So I'm going to hop into it. So the first section I want to talk about is not just about us. I'm not just going to sit here for 20 minutes, talk about my company and how great we are, and then give you 5 minutes on AI. I'm going to talk about all of us as small businesses. So each of us here, small business Culpeper, we're all dependent on one another. It's just like a little small community. Culpeper's just been an awesome place to start this business. So I actually launched Banks Graphic Design in 2023, but I've been doing it on my own since 2012. So I started freelance on my own, and honestly, just launching in 2023, I never thought I would have this team right here. So this is my whole team. They are all incredible. We got Lexi in the back there. She's my intern. So if you see somebody coming around getting photos, just be comfortable, look normal, make me look good, make me look engaged, like I know what I'm talking about. So I don't know. There's a lot of you guys in here that I haven't met yet. So maybe you came here because you're freaked out because AI is this big, scary cloud. I told Tommy Stewart I would sneak in the word Terminator in here. So maybe you think of it as like the T5000, or I can't remember the insert random letter and number from the Terminator. But I'm hoping by the end of it, you'll think of it like a personal assistant. Maybe you feel overwhelmed by it. You've tried to use it. You get in there and you're like, this ain't for me. or you're just curious about it. What is AI? How to use it? So we're going to address all of those. So I was trying to think, like, I'm not really a guy that has a company that's built around AI. Like, I'm a graphic designer. So why am I the one speaking and giving this presentation on AI? So I have had a natural knack for recognizing trends. I mean, I'm in marketing and branding. I probably should be able to do that, huh? So I told my wife back in November of 22, dramatic pause to take a sip of water. I told my wife back in November of 22, I said, hey, we need to start taking a look at how to incorporate ChatGPT into our operations. And the reason I did that is because I got on TikTok and everybody was talking about this thing called ChatGPT. And I had, like all of you, I had no idea what ChatGPT was. And I looked at the comment section and immediately everybody was like, it's going to take our jobs. It's going to, and it was like everybody was just tearing this thing apart. And what I've noticed about trends with technology is often people will criticize it until it's inconvenient to do so. And so I told her back in 2022, I was like, we need to start using this now because 2 years from now, people are going to be trying to adopt it. And so 2024 came around and a lot of people were talking about how to start incorporating it into their small business. And so I have trained all of my staff on how to use ChatGPT AI. Actually, Miranda, she was one of the first people outside of my team that I was like, have you used ChatGPT? And just like most people at that time were like, what is that? So I've just been kind of an advocate for AI and how to use it ethically in your business for a while. What I do want to say is what I know and what I don't know. So we're going to be talking about natural language processing programs. We are not going to be talking about deep learning and machine learning. That is way outside of my range, and I will not get down into the technicalities of AI, but just to let you know the differences of software that we're going to be talking about today. So hopefully by the end of this, what you will be able to do is be able to know what AI is, how to use it, and what you can do to continue learning. So this is actually Bella. She was one of the first people I hired on my team outside of Kirsten and I. So that's my wife there in the back, Kirsten. Her and I. So Bella was the first person that came on board. There's a really cool story about how she actually got connected with us. Shout out to the Star Exponent and Culpeper Economic Development for that article. So when she first came on board, she was terrified of AI. And I said, hey, I'm going to teach you how to use AI today. And I wish you guys knew Bella a little bit more and that she was here, because those eyes got about 3 times the size that they are in that photo. And within 2 months, I jokingly said to her, hey, I want you to do this next task, but I want you to do it without AI. And her eyes, again, got 3 eyes that size because she had gotten so used to using it. So I'm really excited, and I hope that you guys will get there in 2 months as well, if not sooner. Okay, so first things first, what the heck even is AI? So we've all been using AI for a while now. We just don't realize it. Hey Alexa, hey Siri, hey Google, all that. If you have an Alexa in your house, a Google on your phone, or Google on your phone, good God, a Google Home, if you use Siri on your phone, you've been using AI. That is natural language processing. It hears a task and it repeats back to you what it is. So just like John Croft, I asked AI, hey, tell me what AI is. And it spit this out to me. Now, don't freak out. I'm not going to make you read all of that. And so I took this down and I said, okay, explain it to me in 5 words or less. And all it is computer systems that are mimicking human intelligence. So now you can sound really, really smart. When somebody asks you, what is AI? You can say, it's just computer systems mimicking human intelligence. That's for free. You all can use it as your own, okay? My theory when I'm explaining concepts to my staff, to anybody, is if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, you don't really understand it. And if I tell a 5-year-old it's a computer that mimics a human, they can understand what that is, to an extent, maybe. So again, I want to reiterate, we're talking about natural language processing softwares today. So again, breaking that down that's a little bit of computers understanding and processing human language, how we speak and how we communicate. So why would you use it as a small business and nonprofit? That's the next thing I really want to break down. Is very simply put, it's to help you do all the things that you don't want to do so you can get back to what your business actually is. So one of the things that I cannot stand doing, and if you are a small business, I would rather have a brick dropped on my foot than write another invoice or a contract. It is awful. The technical language is, I can't stand it. Some people are talented at it, and that's why I have people on my team that now do that and use, AI to make it sound pretty. But it's one of the things that I don't enjoy doing so that I can get back to graphic design and helping businesses look, sound good, all that good stuff. So the biggest thing is streamlining your operations. I would say, what are those tasks that you hate doing, that you're like, I can't stand it, I wish I had a personal assistant? Think about those, write all those down, and figure out how AI can use that. So that would be the first thing I would say that you should do. Brainstorm ideas of things that you hate doing. Number two, sales funnels. So how do you get your client to care about what you're doing? How do you take from a lead to an actual sale? Processing that system and how it works within your business is a really great way to use it. Content ideas. Social media. We all know you have to be on social media in this day and age for a small business and a nonprofit, right? So generating content ideas, after you've thought about 3 posts on social media, you're almost sometimes burnt out and you're like, I have to do this daily. This is a pain. So helping give yourself a plan for the month is a great way to take some of that fatigue off of you. Crafting email templates. We've all had an email from somebody and we're like, how do I even respond to this? It's an email that's 3 paragraphs long and you're like, I need to figure out how to simply respond to this. It's a great way to help craft your responses as well. And then editing and drafting documents. We all know policy is a necessary thing in our companies if we're more than just us. Helping it craft a systems and operations documents are fantastic for this. Okay, that's all fine and good, but how do I actually use it? So there are 2 main players right now in the AI field. So you have ChatGPT on the left and then Meta AI on the right. The little guy there in the middle, that's Google Gemini. He's kind of been late to the game and he's not really as smart as the other 2, I've noticed when I'm using it. So he's just happy to be here, He's just, hey, I'm happy to be in the ring. So ChatGPT, when it originally launched, it actually launched back in 2018. And it's developed and processed and really launched as GPT-3 in November of 2022 and that's when you started really hearing about ChatGPT, was November of 22. It's owned by a company called OpenAI, and they use a engine called GPT-4, or their model GPT-4. So think about it as a car, and their engine is GPT-4, right? So Meta AI is, we all know Meta, Facebook, all that good stuff, Instagram, all that. So Meta actually uses its own model called Llama, and I think they really just wanted a cool acronym because they did like large language, I don't remember what the A is, Meta AI. And it was like, it just seemed like a really random thing to try and name and make Llama. So they launched in 2023. They were a little behind ChatGPT on the curve, but those are the 2 main players. And I'm going to talk through why you would use one over the other. So depending on what your business is, what your needs are, what your goals are, ChatGPT has actually 2 separate versions. They have a free version and a paid version. Now, the free version that most of us have been using is GPT-3. So that's the older version of your car engine. And it's still great, but that data set, from what I've researched, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, has not been updated since October of 21. So a lot of that information that you may be pulling from, it's not pulling from current data, like current news, current trends, all that sort of stuff. So it's great for certain things, but if you're trying to have some relevancy, you're going to be a little behind. Now, whereas GPT-4 was updated to 2 years later, October of 23, and it can access the internet. So the paid version, you can actually access the internet and say, hey, help me search for A, B, and C, whatever. When you have those two things, I would obviously recommend the paid version if you're going to go with it. I've noticed it's great for like technical applications. ChatGPT is much, much better for like coding or calculations, things like that. It's really great for that. We used it a lot in the beginning to help with like our tone of voice for Facebook, social media, that sort of stuff. And I noticed after a while, I couldn't train the tone. It just kept giving me kind of the same, and I did it multiple times. It was like 10 different threads that after a while, it just kind of watered down to the same exact tone and words that it would keep using. So that's one of the problems I kind of had with ChatGPT. I never used the paid version. Kirsten actually used the paid version more than I did. But I then jumped over to Meta AI because obviously we run a social media business. So with a social media company launching an AI, I wanted to learn a little bit more about it. So I've noticed Meta is fantastic for conversational and communication tasking. So when you're crafting social media content, email templates, various things like that, it is really good to train its tone of voice. The data is current to 2025. It's consistently updating. Again, easier to train the tone of voice. It also it's a free version that has access to the internet, and it has access to certain online softwares. So prime example is SEMrush is a great tool for keyword research. It actually has access to that to where it can pull current and relevant keywords, which is huge. If anyone is a web design nerd like me, you have no idea how great that is. And then the problems that I've had with it is after so many prompts, you do have to remind it of the context. So it'll get forgetful and it'll start kind of watering down the tone. But I've noticed I can remind it a lot easier of what I want it to do than ChatGPT. One of the things that drives me nuts, and I have to over and over, Lexi's laughing because I've told her this. Lexi is our intern, and I trained her on how to use AI. They consistently use the word thrilled and kudos. So I know that if someone's using Meta AI to write their captions, if I see the word thrilled or kudos, like you'll see, we're thrilled to announce, we're like kudos to blank. And I'm like, I've had to put in all caps, please stop using the word thrilled to tell it, and I have to retrain it over and over. So it's another thing. Well, I just skipped a slide. Okay, so 3 steps to use AI. Very, very simply put. Log into it, give it context, ask it a question. Log into it, give it context, ask it a question. 1, 2, 3. That's as easy as it is, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. But I wanted a nice 3-step thing. So ethical usage. What do I mean when I say how to use it ethically? So you have to think about AI as your personal assistant. So your mind is a campfire and AI is like an oven. So say you're baking bread. And I use this analogy because my wife recently got into baking sourdough. And it's a fantastic problem to have in our household. I love it. Anyone who knows of the cult of sourdough knows that, there's a whole cult following around it. Her starter's name is Vincent Van Dough, which is great. Yeah. So if you're making a loaf of bread, both have their benefits. A campfire, you can bake a loaf of bread on a campfire or an oven. But if you use an oven, you're going to get a more consistent result. You're going to be able to plug and play, have a more consistent loaf of bread. However, when you use a campfire, it's got that hand-baked feel. It's got like that nostalgia to it. So think of if I'm crafting a social media caption and I'm writing or I'm typing out every single social media caption, it's going to sound more human. It's going to have a handmade touch to it, but I'm going to be exhausted. Because using a campfire to bake a loaf of bread over and over and over, I got to keep that fire going. It is an exhausting process. Whereas if I use an oven, I can get it's less work, but I still am baking a loaf of bread. It's a more consistent result, and it's still a good loaf of bread. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So I'm not going to talk anymore about the slide. I'm going to move on. The biggest things that I want to say over and over and over is you want to, with any chat, whether you use ChatGPT, Meta AI, context, clarify, and validate. So the more of these three ingredients that you give, the better quality of bread that you'll bake, or the better results you'll get from your AI. So giving it context of, hey, here's what I'm using. So notice when John was saying all of that, he gave it 3 sentences of context. He didn't just say, write me an introduction for a speaker. He gave it 3 to 4 sentences of context. If it gives you a response back that maybe doesn't have something in there that you need it to have, clarify. Give it, hey, I don't want you to use the word thrilled for the 100th time, right? I will laugh so hard if you guys, like, if I get emails from you guys being like, you're right, it uses thrilled all the time. I hate it, Cody. Validate. This is probably the most important piece of information here, is validate. And I'm going to underline this with my pinky. Validate the information. So one of our clients, several of our clients are realtors, but recently I was helping a realtor craft some social media content, and I had given it context of what I wanted the caption to say, what stats I needed in there, A, B, and C. And it crafted this awesome caption, but it said, you can sell your house up to 10% faster. And I was immediately like, hold on, where did you pull that stat from? And it was like, oh, I didn't pull that stat from anywhere, I made it up. That's a problem. So, if we're gonna put something like that out there, so I asked it, I was like, okay, I want you to research that statistic and give me the, not footnote, whatever, reference point, the source, thank you, source. I want you to give me the source. So it gave me a better percentage, and it actually gave me the source. So that is, again, one of the most important things with this, to use it ethically. Please validate the freaking information, especially if you have rules and regulations and a board. I will several times Google that stat 3 different ways to make sure that it's correct. I almost put a picture of Papa John's on here because I had better ingredients, better bread. Okay, I'm glad someone else caught that. Okay, so that's all fine and good, but when am I using AI wrong? How do I know if you're worried about using it unethically? If you're not training it the way you would a personal assistant. So a personal assistant would take time to learn what you need, what you want, how it needs reminded of things. So when you're not using it that way, that's when you start getting lazy with it, and you just give it one-word chats and different things like that. So I would say not training it the way you would a personal assistant, that's a pretty unethical way to use it. Not validating technical information. Usually 9 times out of 10, if you're not validating the information, like if I would have just said, that looks good, that's great, that's obviously pretty unethical for me to do. So making sure that you're doing those 2 things, and you should be fine. Now guess what, guys? We're going to write y'all's first prompt today. So who in here, it's easier for me to ask it this way, who in here does not have Facebook? Okay, great. So I want everyone, if you're willing to, you guys want to do an exercise? Okay, everybody pull out your phone. And when you pull out your phone, I want you to go to meta.ai, whether it be on Chrome, on Safari, whatever it may be, meta.ai, and just look up at me when you guys are good. Cool. Awesome. Now, if you guys are there, if you know, if you have your Facebook password saved on your phone and you can log in, I would suggest logging in. It will save your chats, so that way if you come back to this, it makes it a lot easier. However, if you want to skip that step, go ahead and skip it, but either log in or skip without logging in. Oh, it should, yes. And if it doesn't, then go ahead. We'll go to step 2. So I want you guys to give it context. I want you guys to say, I am a small business or nonprofit called blank. The problem we solve for our clients is blank. I am currently struggling with this problem. How can you help me? Usually after you give it its first prompt, it's like, do you want to log in? I forgot that it's annoying that way. All right. Who has done their first prompt? Has anyone gotten to the point where they've sent this through? Yeah, it'll be annoying that way. So, first person to do their prompt, lift your hand when you've already submitted it and gotten a response from Meta. Awesome. What's your name, ma'am? Catherine. So, what was the problem that you're having?
Well, I'm with Young Life, a nonprofit. What are some ideas to fundraise?
Okay, awesome. And what were some of the responses you got?
Well, before we dive in, let's see. It's essential to understand your target audience, donors, volunteers, parents,
Great.
students. Event-based fundraisers, online campaigns. It's got 3 bullets for each of these: corporate partnerships, grant writing, donor. It's got 8 of those. Putting it all together, another 4 bullets, and then a concluding paragraph.
Awesome. I told you direction. So then what I would say is from that, what from that chat stood out to you? From the response.
Well, for me personally, I'm in the business, so I see things that I do, and yeah, I'm looking to find at least one thing that maybe I don't do that will help me now start thinking about, okay, how do I do that?
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So what I'd say is after you do your first prompt, and I'm obviously going to have a question and answer section at the end of this, but once you get your first prompt, let's say if you didn't get what you needed, or if there was one of those points that you're like, hey, tell me more about this, how would I do this? It's more so then you're starting a brainstorming session with it, and you can start getting information from it. Again, sometimes it'll give you information that you have to then say, okay, where did you pull that information from so that it validates the source? But I'd say like asking follow-up. So that's this third step in everything. Is anyone else, who else has finished the chat? Okay, I'll hit you in the back. So what was your prompt, or what was your problem?
Struggling with marketing.
Yep.
And it came up with social media, email, local SEO, influencer partnerships, loyalty program, and then the next steps. What would you like to prioritize first?
Okay, awesome. So often it will ask you a question at the end to then help you to continue thinking. Which one of those interested you the most?
The SEO, just to make sure that I have done all of those. And it definitely stands out that it says thrilling.
Haha, told you.
Yeah, the influencer program, our partnerships will be thrilling.
Yeah.
The loyalty program will give kudos to your customers.
Oh God, dude. I told you, man. I told you those 2 words, man. It drives me nuts. So yeah, I would say, how can I help? Like then you can still start having a conversation with it. What was the problem you were having?
I just always have to make daily content.
Don't you always?
So to give tips for the dog training, like Tip Tuesday, Wednesday Wisdom, Throwback Thursday.
Mhm.
I do stuff like that.
Awesome.
And then weekly themes, monthly themes, holiday content.
Very cool. Gotcha. So obviously, social media content is a huge player with this. We all, again, have to be active on social media. That's been one of the biggest uses I've found for it that a lot of small businesses use it for. Again, retraining it on context and that sort of stuff is huge if you are going to do social media content with it. So I'm going to go to the last part. and talking about question and answer. So, does anybody have any questions about AI?
Can you tell us some types of prompts or what some actual prompts that are triggers for the AI, to help train it?
Yeah. So, I would then. It's really hard to say as far as like the first thing that you want to think about. That's why I had you guys. The first thing you want to think about is what is my problem? Like, why am I? What's my problem? No. What is my problem that I'm trying to get AI to solve? And then I don't really know of any like specific. Can you maybe unpack that a little bit more so that I can answer it better?
Kind of like how you want it to respond to you, essentially.
Okay.
In training, how do you train the AI? The way that you want it to say, make it friendly, make it professional.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
So-
Those actual words, what are some other words we can put in there to help train it?
So honestly, when I get to that point where I'm trying to figure out how to train AI, I actually ask it, what do you need from me in order to train you? And so I'll ask it, like, can you give me a list of words that you need me to train you on your tone of voice? And it'll tell me, like, if you want it to sound this way, sound this way. So often, if it's like I don't know how to do something, I just ask AI. And so that's mainly what I do is, so let's just say social media. Let's just use that as an example. That seems to be a big theme. I'll say, write me a social media post for A, B, and C. I need the tone to be professional, approachable, and knowledgeable. Here is the content, and so then I'll give it the content that I want, like my professional feedback on marketing, whatever the topic is. I have to give it something. I don't just say like write me a post on marketing. I say, hey, I want to talk about let's say SEO keyword research in small businesses. Here's what I want to say about it. Can you format this into a post for Facebook using best practices for character length, caption length, and hashtags? Sometimes it'll give you like 15 hashtags, and we all know like 15 hashtags is super spammy. And so I say like limit it to 3 hashtags. That's also a Facebook best practice as well. So did that help answer your question? Any other questions?
How do you cite using AI if you've modified it from like its general idea to what you put out? How do you have to cite it, or do you have to?
So that's the thing about it right now is AI is such a new technology. You haven't had to cite it recently. I know that there are talks about that. I know obviously with potentially down the line, obviously the federal government is always about 5 to 20 years behind us. So I haven't had to do that yet. One of the things that I will say, I didn't hear anybody in here say that they're therapists or healthcare practitioners unless I missed that. HIPAA, obviously I would say you don't want to put like client information in there. But if you use like general terms like it's a moot point, but HIPAA would be a big thing that I would be concerned about people putting client information in there. That's one of the biggest things that I would say. So I haven't had to do that yet. Mostly I use it to format, and there's not really a need to cite it if you're giving it enough context. It's when you're being lazy and like just depending on it to get creative for you instead of trying to actually format what you're doing. Does that make sense?
It does, because I have seen, like, on the bottom, there's a filter that says, what tone would you like it, casual or professional?
Yeah.
And then I've noticed when you post, it asks if it has AI content in it.
Okay. In Facebook? I haven't seen that recently. Are you saying, is that in a business suite or is that in the actual app? Okay. Most of the time I'm working in the business suite, but I'll have to take a look at that. And yeah, I'd love to look more into that. Yeah, any other questions?
So ChatGPT has a cost. Is it tiered or is it just one set price?
For now, as far as I know, it's just one set price. I think it was about $20 a month. Was it 20? Roughly $20 a month.
Is that
Yeah, and nothing. Yeah, I was gonna say nothing will derail that train of thought like ChatGPT asking for money, huh?
Well, it was cute. It was like, you can't come back till 7:03 p.m.
Yeah, right.
And so on that same day, I can come back. And so Meta AI has no cost involved.
None that no. I think they're working towards a standalone app that they may do like a subscription service for. For now, the reason I'm so heavy on Meta AI is because it's a product or a program of Meta, and right now it's not integrated, which does not make sense to me. I love. We used to have a product called the I Hate Social Media Club with our company, and it's because we all know we need to have it, but God, don't we hate it. I don't know why Facebook didn't do a better job of integrating Meta AI with like the business suite. Instead, they threw it into all of our apps and took the search bar away, which just made everybody mad. So like they kind of did it in a way that I don't think they should have. But I can see them down the road integrating it into the business suite to where you can start creating captions instead of going to Meta AI, copy and pasting and putting it into business suite. I can see it eventually getting natively put in there. So that's why I'm so focused on my energy there right now. And I'm not really a tech company in the sense of coding and programming. If that were the case, I'd probably be more focused on ChatGPT. So, and oftentimes I did want to make a remark. If you see a lot of programs, and how many of you guys have seen an ad for someone saying like, hey, use AI for blank, and it's some random software. Like I keep saying Blaze AI. Have any of you guys seen that? The guy that's like hates Canva. He like screams at, yeah, okay, you've seen it too. So most of the time those guys are just using GPT-4. So they're just reskinning ChatGPT to do what you can do. Does that make sense? They're just taking GPT-4 and they're using it for their own program. So you can get the same results if you know how to train Meta AI and ChatGPT. Hope that helps. And sorry, Blaze AI.
Let's say you train Meta and like that, and then you come back to it a week later
Yes.
and make content. Will it remember who you trained?
That's a good point, random woman in the back. Yeah. Am I single? No. Yeah, that's why I say context, context, context. You want to, every single time you come back to a chat, you want to make sure that you refresh it on the context. I will say this, and you can, I would make note of this if you are taking notes. Ask it when you get a really good chat and you're getting really good results, ask it, hey, can you give me the context for this chat so that I can, if I wanted to open another chat, how would I tell you to do this same thing? And it'll give you a prompt to say, it'll spit out whatever the context is for this chat, so that when you come back to it, you can just copy and paste that in, and you don't have to retrain it over and over. So that was a very good question.
I'll even say, I'll go back and say, do you remember our conversation from a week ago? Can you tell me about it?
Yeah.
Like, to see if it will remember.
Well, I've even had, if I'm using it for too long, she was saying chat, not me and her having a conversation. Yeah. And well, yeah, when you said it, I was like, please don't put me on the spot right now. I do not remember. Anyways, yeah, so I'll often, if I'm using it for more than like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, if I'm in one chat for a while, it will start forgetting 10 to 15 prompts back. So it's such a large program. I mean, it's free. There's a lot of people using it. To store all that data, it has to be able to like forget stuff. So I would say the more you refresh it, the better. If you're creating it for social media captions, get a context for how it wants to be prompted, and before every single caption that you do, give it that context. Even if you just did it in the prompt before, do it there, unless you're like reformatting and tweaking that same caption. Yes, ma'am.
I've come to that it says I've lost memory space or something like that. So is that, I'm on the free version as well.
Yeah, that would be why. Normally, with GPT-3, it's the free version, so it'll, yeah. Are you able to come back to it in?
Yes, but I have to go in and delete some of my older prompts that it's.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the other thing is like that's why I told you guys if you can log in, it's great because you can organize your chats. So, you know, if you're like, what the heck was that caption that I did for Tip Tuesday 3 weeks ago? You can scroll back in that same chat if you have a chat that's specifically for social media captions. So I would say that's another thing is, sorry, this was a lot to try and fit in 20 minutes, guys. That's why I knew the Q&A. I was like trying to leave as much time for this. So forgive me if there's stuff that, you guys are free to email me. I do have business cards in the back. Yeah, okay. I do have business cards in the back. Please feel free to email me and pick my brain. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Just take the time that you need. Reach out to anybody on council or get Cody.
Yeah.
And we'll all help you out.
Any other questions? Yeah. No, you're fine. No, this is what we're here for.
Wait, don't just.
I was going to say, this is what we're here for. Let's go.
Photos, like even just admiring your slideshow and templates.
Oh, thank you.
Can you talk about, like I just tried to get some photos, but all I'm getting is like cartoony type stuff, and I said non-animated. Is that a whole nother tool?
So yeah, that's why today I was talking about natural language processing. The only reason, so I haven't used the AI art piece of things. I was hoping somebody would bring this up, but I haven't used it for a number of reasons. One, I haven't seen, I've been paying attention to it because again,
It's your competitor, right?
well, not even that, because because I would adopt it and figure out a way to implement it. Because, like I said, I told her again, and she's here so she can confirm it. Like I said, I told her in 2022 we should be trying to adopt it. So I would be trying to figure out how we could use it in a way that's ethical, but I haven't found a way. I've seen multiple sources that say that the art piece is like stealing art from artists and not crediting the artist. So I have a qualm with that because I'm always going to look at the ethical usage of AI. So I'm paying attention right now to like, go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I was just going to say I've used it to look for photos, and I actually posted one because everything's spelled wrong, and
Yes.
they were hugging, and she had 3 arms, and
Well, so it makes sense that they can't quite narrow that down.
Yeah.
To what's, is it ethical to steal or not steal? I'm trying to get the right terms of it.
No, and that's the problem I have with it. It's not even, I know with my business, I've seen like use AI to make your logo, and I see it, and it's come out with some stuff that's good, but it doesn't take into context like what we do is as far as like responsive logos. It's like, okay, that logo is great, but it's not thinking about the 3 other uses or 5 other uses that you need this logo for. And then when you try to tweak it to that, it then has words spelled wrong, and like, you know, you got a dog with 3 eyes for your logo, and it's like, that isn't a good look for canine caring, huh? So it's, again, one of the things that I will say that I'm paying attention to right now is AI, like the influencers, the ads. The only way I see that working quickly is if they have artists that they've paid to create those AI. But right now it's just like, hey, let's just take a bunch of faces and, you know, make them look weird. I haven't seen any ethical way of using it yet. So.
On the artist thing, I was at a convention last year, and they were talking about AI and artists, and they
Yeah.
literally have art students that are in colleges, and they're using AI to develop art.
Yeah.
Like, they literally have to describe what the picture is, the color, the fade. The artist literally has to verbalize and write down what they want the picture to be, instead of them just visualizing and doing it with their hands.
Mm-hmm.
They're literally having to describe it, and then the computer's creating what they're describing.
And I can see, like I said, now if it's an AI thing that's creating it, if it's like a program that's creating it, and it's not just ripping off other artists and just meshing all these art pieces together, I'd be more okay with that. But the unethical, like, It'd be like me, you guys are all artists, and I'm like, ooh, that's a great painting that all of you guys have, and then I'm just selling it, like I'm copying or I'm pasting two of your pieces together and being like, Cody Banks did that, and it's like, no, you didn't. You know? So I hope that answers your question. That was my long rabbit trail on that. So, any other questions? All right. Well, again, Cody Banks, if you guys, yeah, feel free to email me if you have any other questions. Thanks, guys.